have I not commanded you? Be strong and of good courage. Do not be afraid or dismayed, for the Lord your God is with you wherever you go.
Welcome, everyone, to Modern Day Messenger special Easter episode. Happy Easter, everyone.
Happy Easter.
Hope everyone is doing well. We are minus one person today due to scheduling reasons, but
he just didn't like us.
Yeah, so it's just us and your homeboy over here, but we're here to hang out with y'all and talk a little bit about everything. But we got a few announcements. First off, you want to tell them about the Men of Courage?
Yeah,
stuff?
June 28th, we have a men's conference right here in Ruston, Louisiana at Christ Church, which is, I think it's, 1701? Celebrity Drive in Ruston?
Yeah.
I got it. 1701 Celebrity Drive in Ruston. Men, come on out. You don't have to be a particular church. This isn't a Christ Church thing. This is a men's thing. Come out. We're going to feed you. You're going to have a chance to win some prizes. You're going to hear incredible worship and a message by Anthony Kernut, who's coming from Missouri. He wrote the book Framework for Biblical Masculinity. He's got a podcast, Real Men Talk. I mean, it's just it's going to be an incredible time. You don't want to miss out on it.
Yep. We also got a couple of raffles. Well,
Yep.
A raffle.
I have a raffle ticket in my hand. Is that seen very well? Okay. If you want to get in on this, what it is, it's a raffle ticket. It's helping us raise money for the conference. You buy one of these, they're $20 a piece. You get a chance to win a AR-15 Wise Arms. This will be a 5.56, and the drawing is actually going to be at the event on June 28th. And we'll draw live, and somebody that's not me will be lucky enough to win it.
Yeah, I know. So you can,
I wanted to buy tickets, but Christian says I can't, so
yeah, well, it makes sense, but
it doesn't. It's garbage. My money should be good, just like everybody else's.
I know. I wish I could raffle for it too, but hopefully one of you lucky people will get it. They're $20, $20 a ticket.
And if you do get it, I won't mind if you donate it to me.
Yeah, or just let us shoot it.
Let us watch you shoot it.
Yeah, that's all we want to do. Is we just want to watch. But anyway, just you can contact us. We'll leave a description, contact information below to where you can kind of find that and the event. We'll put a link and stuff for you to check out there as well. So, but anyway, what you been up to, bro? Haven't talked to you in like 2 weeks.
Yeah, been working. Been doing a lot of training classes. Switched over to night shift, so that always makes things great.
Yeah,
It sucks.
yeah. You love the night, don't you?
Yeah, I hate it. Me and my wife just got back from Branson. We went for our anniversary finally. Our anniversary was in, February. I had to think about that.
Okay.
Our anniversary was in February, and because of some things going on at her work, they were changing from one system to another. Nobody could take off.
Yeah.
So we finally got to go, and we went to Branson. We left on Thursday morning at about, I think, 3 o'clock in the morning. We got there, rained the entire time.
Yep.
The entire time. Until, that Sunday when we were leaving to come home, it wasn't raining. It was still cold, but we finally got to go do something outside. We did something called Top of the Rock, where you get to, you go up this really high, mountain-like structure, and you ride a golf cart down. You get to look at these landmarks and things like that. It was real cool.
Yeah. Was that at the top of a rock?
Yeah, it was the top of a rock.
Yeah.
Big rock.
That's what's up.
Yeah.
That's what's up. Well, cool. Top of the rock.
Yeah, it was fun. You get to go up there and you ride down. Like I said, you get to look at these landmarks and go in a cave and see all these things. It's pretty cool.
Was it as high as like Sugarloaf?
No, nowhere near.
Okay.
But it was high up there. But it was cool, man. You get to get out and take pictures and get to explore these little areas, and it's real cool. We got to go to a museum that had a lot of Native American artifacts like arrowheads and tools that they would use. Clothes they made, things like that. That was really cool.
You ever seen one of those baby baskets that the Native American?
They had them up there.
I need one.
Yeah, it was pretty cool.
Yeah, my baby Jesse. He's fat. He's fat. He's heavy.
Oh, that's funny.
Yeah, I need one of those Native American baby backpacks.
So just shout out to First Baptist Church in Branson. while we were up there, on the way back, it was like, hey, we don't really have to be in a rush to get home. We are adults. We can take our time.
Yeah.
It's not like we're on schedule. So it's like, hey, let's go to church up there. So we went to First Baptist Church in Branson, and man, it was pretty awesome. The people there were nice. They were welcoming. They had some music I'd never heard before, worship music. I don't know if their church does their own music or what it was, but it was really good. It was really theologically sound. The message was really good. Man, it was nice to get to a good Bible-believing church.
Well, sweet, man.
I didn't know Bible-believing churches existed outside Louisiana.
Yeah, outside the Bible Belt, yeah.
Yeah.
But, speaking of theologically sound, I just went watch a movie today in Monroe. It was sold out in Ruston, but it's called King of Kings. I didn't really know what the movie was about, except I looked it up last night when they told me about it, and I was like, okay, it's about Jesus, and it's kind of what we're going to talk about today, actually. But it was a really good movie, and I really think that people should go see it. King of Kings.
I'm guessing it is about the King of Kings, Jesus.
It is. It is. I'm not going to spoil anything, but I will say at the beginning, it's a forewarning. At the beginning, it looks like a Christmas movie. And I was like, I looked over and I'm like, are we in the right movie? It kind of, like, you don't realize it, but it sets it up. So just hang in there. You're at the right movie. And, they really portray the entire life of Jesus really well. They obviously had to skip over a bunch of things, right? Because how do you fit Jesus' ministry in 1 hour or an hour and a half movie?
Yeah.
Yeah. So Jesus took 33 years.
Sometimes it takes us longer to read a chapter.
Yeah, that's right. So, but they portrayed it very well, very theologically sound, like I stated, and I think it's a good listen. But
yeah, my bad.
No, you go. What's up?
No, I was trying to pull something up, but I clicked it too early.
Yeah.
Yeah. So, last year when we did the Easter special, we went through the life of Jesus, and I can't remember exactly what all we hit. We were trying to talk about it before, and we talked a little bit, but I think we're going to kind of almost do the same thing. We're going to throw some new stuff in it this time as well. I actually had a video I wanted to show you because, at this time of year, especially Easter, you have people that are non-Christians. They say, oh, Easter's stolen from, some, what was it, Anunnaki god, whatever, Ishtar or whatever.
Ishtar, yeah.
You see all this crap floating around, and it happens every Easter.
Yeah.
Well, I found a video, and I posted it on my story on Facebook a little while back. It wasn't that long ago, but I was going to show it to you. So, let's see right here.
Who is Ishtar? Ishtar is the reason why you celebrate Easter, okay? She was the fertility goddess in Babylonian times. And the actual holiday of Easter, which is celebrated mostly by Christians, is actually the celebration of fertility of Ishtar, the Babylonian Anunnaki goddess. This is why they have the eggs and the bunnies laying the eggs. It's a fertility thing. It has nothing to do with resurrections.
No, Easter is not a pagan holiday. It doesn't come from a Babylonian god named Ishtar, and the eggs have nothing to do with the fertility goddess. Number one, the Old English name Ostra, from which we get the word Easter, comes from the Germanic word ostron, which means dawn, because all four Gospels record the discovery of Jesus' resurrection at dawn. Number two, Easter's timing on the calendar has nothing to do with a pagan holiday. It was set by the Christian Council of Nicaea in 325 AD because the Jewish Passover falls in March or April, and Jesus rose from the dead right after Passover. And number three, as much as internet atheists wish they were, symbols like eggs and rabbits are not borrowed from pagan fertility rites. In the Middle Ages, eggs were forbidden during the fasting of Lent leading up to Easter, so Christians hard-boiled them so they wouldn't spoil during their fast. And people like the Christian king Edward I painted them and gave them out to celebrate the breaking of the fast. Big idea. Easter is and always has been about Jesus because Ishtar didn't walk out of any tombs. Only Jesus did that.
I've heard that other side of it too. I'm pretty sure I saw the original video that guy was doing the response to.
Yeah. What is his name? I want to give credit to him. I think Josh Howerton.
Yeah.
I got that from his Instagram, so shout out to him. I thought that was a really good video because, that same argument gets thrown out every single Easter. Oh, you're stealing it from pagan holidays. Christians really are, Easter's a pagan holiday. Christmas is shut up.
Yeah, well, 325 AD is like, it's kind of like right after it all happened. So, I mean, it's pretty close to the time frame of Jesus.
Yeah.
Where he walked. So,
Well,
yep. So, what you want to read out of today, bro?
I figured we could lay some groundwork. If you want to kind of go through the beginning of Jesus' life and his early ministry, we could pick up and kind of read around in Luke and just kind of find out where we end up.
Okay.
Yeah, we don't have a script for this episode, so we're just kind of winging it.
Yeah, I don't think we
do that sometimes.
I don't think we have a script for any of them.
We don't.
But I'll say this. I mean, it could go from chapter to chapter to chapter to chapter. But I will say that we can kind of go over the story about like Jesus Christ, like right from the very beginning, right? He always was, is, and is to come, right?
Mm-hmm.
So we can set it up from right at Bethlehem, right? It was a time of census, right? They needed to go put in their information for the king. You know what I'm saying? It's tax season, and but anyway, they couldn't find no place. Jesus is born in Bethlehem in a stable. So like, it's kind of how the movie we saw today. It was just like they couldn't find nowhere. She's really pregnant, about to have this baby, right? And we talked about this the last episode, like the magnitude of that. An angel came to you and said that you're gonna birth the Messiah.
Yeah.
The one that the scriptures talked about for thousands of years is happening right now. You're gonna be his mama.
Yeah.
And that's just crazy to begin with. So we see that, and then Joseph, he's like kind of hesitant, but then he's on board with it because the angel came to him in a dream, and so they're on their travels. They're going to Bethlehem. Like I said, he is born. We know that that Herod did not like that, and he killed all of the boys that were 2 years and younger.
Yeah.
Because he was like, another king, that's not going to happen.
Yeah.
So he ordered that, but we see that they went to Egypt and everything, and marrying Joseph and new baby. But we talked about like the Savior of the world being born in a trough.
Mm-hmm.
That's humbling. I was born in a squishy, cushy hospital. With AC. He didn't have none of that.
The creator of everything that was there at the beginning always was born in a trough.
Yep, born in a trough.
Like, talk about humble beginnings.
Yes.
But we see, Jesus get raised up. First real, I guess, ministry story we have of him is when he was 12 years old. I guess even before that, because when John and Jesus came together in their mother's wombs, John leaped for joy.
That's right.
Anyway, going up to 12, he goes into the temple, preaches a message. And
that's right.
That's when his parents lose him.
Yeah, they lost baby Jesus.
Yeah.
Well, he's about 12, I guess.
Yeah. Well, parent fell.
Yeah, but I did think it was interesting that they lost him for 3 days.
Yeah. Huh. Wonder what else happens in 3 days.
Yeah, it's kind of crazy. Anyway, they find him, but then I don't think Joseph is mentioned after that, is he?
I don't think he is. I think that's the last time we see him mentioned.
Yeah, so that's kind of some insight right there that Joseph has passed between now and Jesus' adulthood.
I think The Chosen does a pretty good description on that. I mean, they Jesus is. If you've seen The Chosen, without any spoilers, there's a moment where Jesus goes and visits Joseph's tomb.
Mm-hmm.
So,
yeah.
So I mean, before the crucifixion, Joseph is already gone and passed.
Right. So I mean, we see his ministry, happening, and then before he really does anything, he gets baptized. By the way, I'll pause right here because if you haven't seen our Luke series, it'd be a cool thing to go and watch.
Yeah.
Because it really tells the entire story of Jesus from a great perspective. And it's a really good series that we did last year. So go check it out if you haven't.
The whole book of Luke.
Yeah, I went through the whole book. So go check it out. We went chapter by chapter and tried to explain everything. But anyway, he gets baptized. by John the Baptist, his cousin, and then he goes straight into the wilderness. When we were doing our reading and research, he goes straight to the wilderness to fast. Now, the question you asked me last year, at some episode, you were like, what moment would you like to go back and witness?
Yeah. Right there.
Right there.
At his baptism.
At his baptism. But I'll challenge you further and say, what about the 40 days that he was fasting? Like, I was very intrigued, and I wanted to know what that was like for Jesus. 40 days and 40 nights of fasting. Now, I can't tell you that I could have hung in there with him. Probably not. I'd have died. But I would like to have seen it because when I was watching the movie today and they were kind of portraying that, how hard it was on his man side, his humanity side of Jesus Christ.
Oh, for sure.
He was obviously starving, and there's three main recorded temptations, but what else happened in 40 days, right? Because those three temptations could have happened really quick or a span of 40 days.
Yeah.
There's so many questions that we won't have the answers to, but that would have been a cool moment to see the Creator, how Jesus Christ, the Son of God, handled all that. So,
and you've been around me long enough to know that one of my favorite things to look at in the Bible is how the Old Testament and the New Testament correlate.
Right.
How the Old Testament's like a shadow of things that Jesus completed in the New.
Mm-hmm.
Like, that's one of my favorite things to look into. And I don't know it all by no means, but I've looked into a little bit of it. And, I like Mark's account of the baptism because it's the only one where there's not a chapter break.
Right.
So in Mark, it's Jesus was baptized and immediately he went to the wilderness.
Right. The other one's just like lineage and
and then you have like chapter 1. I don't remember exactly what chapter it is, but then he was baptized, and then the very next chapter, now he's in the wilderness, and it almost makes you look like it's two isolated events.
Right.
And it's not.
Yeah.
It's baptism, Spirit led to the wilderness.
Yep.
But I like that because it's a shadow of what happened all the way back in Egypt and Israel's time, where Moses led the Israelites through the Red Sea, and they said it said when they got over there, they were led by a cloud or a spirit to the wilderness, where they disobeyed and had to stay there for 40 years.
Right.
Jesus obeyed the heart of the Father, and he did his 40 days, and where humanity failed, Jesus redeemed it.
That's right.
And that was his whole ministry, redeeming humanity.
Yeah. 40 years, 40 days.
Yeah.
Yeah. It's you're talking about a mathematician. There's too many number things that go on in Scripture that's like, man, you can't make that up.
For sure. And I'll tell you one talking about our Branson trip, I think you'll think this is cool. I don't know if I've told you it yet. So we went to this place called the Creation Museum, and it's all about Genesis and then leading up to the life of Jesus.
Yeah, I've seen stuff about it.
So I did not know this, but I thought it was pretty interesting. In the beginning, when you see Adam and Eve in the Garden of Genesis, everything's in perfect harmony. There's no sickness, there's no disease. Produce is growing, no issues, no thorns to choke out plants, nothing. Perfection. Well, when they fell, one of the things that arises from the ground is thorns.
Yeah.
So that thorn is kind of a representation of the sin that entered into the world. It was a result of the sin.
Yeah.
Fast forward to Jesus' time, what did they put around his head?
Crown of thorns.
Crown of thorns.
Paul talks about a thorn in the side.
But that sin. I like the picture that the thorns entered as a result of sin.
And he took upon sin.
He took that sin, and he by his blood is redeeming what was the curse.
That's kind of crazy, man. Because when they put that crown of thorns on his head, he literally took upon sin, and it for sure is covered in blood.
Yep.
So it like his blood atoned for all of that. Wow, that's amazing. But going back to the story of Jesus, right? So we see him heal the blind man, right? And just a cool story about that. I guess this podcast is talking to like it's just like the commentary on Jesus's life, what he did. It's pretty cool. But this when he healed the blind man, he said, one of them spoke up and said, "Hey, whose sin is a result of this?" And he said, "Well, neither his mother or father," because that was a common belief back in the day that your sin or someone else's sin that's a generational curse could affect you. and that's how they thought that. Like that's how they thought, like how you were paralyzed or you had some deficiency or whatever. But Jesus said that this man it wasn't the cause of sin that made him blind. He says it was so that the power of God could be shown through him.
Yeah.
So he heals him. Now he gets his sight. Jesus is like, keep this hush hush. I don't want this getting out right now. And but we see that probably word got out, very shortly after that, because this dude's been born blind, right? Now he can see. I would have been asking questions too, you know what I'm saying? But his first miracle, though, Jesus Christ's first miracle,
Water to wine.
Water to wine in Canaan. That was his first one because I guess he was just listening to his mama. That was a cool story. That's in John 3.
I was about to say, I think it's 3.
Yeah, John chapter 3. I think that's what it is. It's a good
Because right
read.
before he talks to
Nicodemus. That's right. And John 1:1 is like the setup. I think it's John 3.
Let's see here. We might be wrong, my guy.
It might be 5.
It's actually John 2.
Okay, John chapter 2.
Yep.
What's in 3?
When he sits down with Nicodemus.
Okay. We got them reversed. It's okay.
And then 4 is him meeting the woman at the well.
That's right.
Or is it the woman at the well? Oh, man, now. And look, I'm acting like I don't know the Bible anymore.
It's either, it's one of those.
I can't remember. I always get the woman at the well and the woman caught in adultery. I get where they're at mixed up. So
Yeah, I think the 4 is the adulterous woman.
it may be.
Yeah, I don't know. Fact check me, bro, because
I'm fact checking myself.
I may not be right.
And the woman at the well.
I was wrong. There you go. Don't listen to me.
I should have went with my first instinct. That's
Just don't
what I said
listen to
first.
me. So, Devin, what is some other things beyond that, kind of following along in the story of Jesus Christ, that pops out to you? I've got a few, but I've said some, but
So, I guess, what pops off to me and it kind of just sticks out, and, obviously being from the Gentile descent and not a Jew descent,
that's right.
it means a lot to me because, the Pharisees were these powerful Jews who had kept the law. And let's be honest, like they were looked at as good. If we say Pharisee in today's culture, it's like that's a negative term.
Right.
But back then, Pharisee was high honor. And they weren't bad people per se. They were keeping the law. They were doing what they thought they were supposed to do to appease God. Now, obviously, they had the heart of God wronged. But, one of the things that the Jews thought of Gentiles and Samaritans and things like that is all they did was fuel the fires of hell.
Right.
That only the Jewish people were
That's right.
meant for God.
Right.
So, I love seeing how Jesus, throughout that whole thing, is breaking that barrier. And, John 4, we just talked about it when he meets the Samaritan woman at the well.
Yep.
He doesn't say, hey, you're a Samaritan, go away from me, you're going to burn in hell and
Right.
you're going to keep the fires lit for, nothing like that. But he meets her where she's at. She's broken.
Right.
She's a Samaritan, which by nature of itself it makes her trash
Right.
in that culture.
Yeah.
She was married 5 times. She was living with a man that she wasn't married to. So she's, in a sense, a whore.
Right.
Don't shoot the messenger.
Right.
But that's the way she would have been looked at. And Jesus didn't look at her like that. He looked at her like, this is my daughter.
Right.
And he just set that precedent like, hey, I'm not calling the saints, I'm calling the sinners.
That's right.
A doctor doesn't come for the sick, or a doctor doesn't come for the healthy, he comes for the sick.
That's right.
And, I just following that, man, I just like seeing, Jesus laying that groundwork and just doing something revolutionary that nobody was expecting him to do because they thought he was just going to come and be a military leader and take over Rome.
Yeah, that's right. And to give some context about that, the route that they would have taken, it would have been a pretty direct line from where they were going. But the Jewish people, because of Samaritans and Gentiles, right, like you're saying, they went around. They took the long way on purpose to avoid the Samaritan people. So
A lot of racism.
yeah, a lot of it, a lot of prejudice, racism, but Jesus like took the direct route, specifically went to her, and like you said, just everything that you just said, like, it was amazing how so many times during Jesus's ministry, how it wasn't about like where they came from, but who they are.
Yeah.
And so I feel like humanity sucks at that sometimes.
For sure.
You know what I'm saying? Like it's just it's basically like, where you from? Where what side of town are you from? And depending on if you're on the east or west, depending on how well I'm gonna treat you.
Yeah.
And so but Jesus was like, I don't care where you're from. Like these are the things that you've done. Go and sin no more. So but that was his whole ministry. And one of the coolest miracles that kind of pop out to me was Lazarus.
Mm-hmm.
And that's the one I wanted to kind of highlight today because, like, can you imagine? Lazarus was dead for about 4 days. Okay. And he's chilling in heaven.
Yep.
Right? Because to be absent from the bodies, to be present with the Lord. And I saw a video the other day, and it reminded me of this. And
was it the John Christ one?
yes,
Yes.
it was.
I just saw that one the other day.
It was, and he was like, just hanging out, getting his mansion together, and then you just hear a knock on the door. And they're like, Lazarus, we normally don't do this, but yeah, we're taking you back.
Nah, I'm staying.
So anyway, Lazarus, he gets raised from the dead. Now, you got to imagine this moment. You got his whole family there. We don't know who all is there, but obviously Jesus is there and his disciples and Martha and all them, right? So, but dude, like, you think about it, like he was healing people, casting out demons, but this was a very defining moment when he spoke beyond the grave. You know what I'm saying? His voice as a man on earth had the power to speak beyond the grave, to raise him from the dead, to speak, to bring him back. And I was like, that must have been an intense moment for everybody.
For sure.
And I think, that's just, I would have loved to see that too. Because, I would have defecated myself. Probably. Because, that's just, that's the power of God right there. And I think that's where he was like proven to them. Like when the paralytic man was also put in from the roof. Mm-hmm. And that's when he announced to the Pharisees and stuff. That's when he's gone through, which is easier to say, your sins are forgiven, or pick up your mat and walk. He said, I tell you, the Son of Man has the power here on earth to forgive sins. Mm-hmm. Referencing himself, of course.
Yeah.
So he tells the man to pick up his mat and walk, and he does, which means that he has the power to forgive sins. And they weren't wrong when they said, who can forgive sins but God alone? Because they were speaking to him.
Yeah.
Right? So they're speaking to Jesus Christ himself, and so it was just amazing to see all of this happening, like in the story. Like, can you imagine being there during all this?
Oh yeah. And you mentioned it, he mentioned talking to the Pharisees. And if you look at a lot of his speeches when the Pharisees were around, there was always like a little jab at them, like a stab.
Right.
And y'all can go back and look at our Luke 15 episode where it's the parables of the lost coin, the lost sheep, and the lost son. Prodigal son.
Yeah, that's right.
But you can miss a lot of the context in that if you just read it and don't look at what happened before it.
Yeah.
The Pharisees were around, and he went to talking about, he told these three stories, and they were really some jabs at the Pharisees, letting them know, like, hey, you're sitting here thinking that, just because you're a Pharisee, you're righteous or something.
That's right.
I'm gonna find that lost person. I'm gonna find that lost coin. But just go back and look. I don't have time. We don't have time to go through the whole thing again. But Breyer was on that episode.
Yes.
And he brought out a lot of good stuff from that. Like I said, just go look at it. But
yeah,
a lot of time the Pharisees were around. It was poking at what they believe.
Yeah. Oh, I know. They were poking the bear too. There's so many times where you mentioned the adulterous woman earlier as well, and they were like, okay, well, whoever has not committed a sin, you can throw it. You can throw that stone, knowing he's the only one, and the stones are dropping. We talked about that in an early episode, but that was another powerful moment. There's so many powerful moments that Jesus Christ had. We could spend forever talking about them, but like kind of going to the main event, we see the Creator washing his disciples' feet, right? Okay, so that's another big moment. Like because God himself can come at any time and rule with an iron fist.
Yeah.
He chooses not to, right? The Son of God, born into this world of flesh, became a servant, right? He talks about that in Philippians. But he literally was washing his disciples' feet. Like you don't even, like you mentioned this before, like that's not something that they would even ask slaves to do.
Yeah.
Right? Because it was dirty, you're walking on them. It's like Jewish people were about cleanliness. You know what I'm saying? And like they had all these rules, and like you don't wash other people's feet, But Jesus Christ got down and washed all of his disciples' feet. We see, was it Martha with or was it Mary with the perfume?
Yeah, I believe it was Mary.
Mary, that's right. Yeah, she. Did you ever look up how much that perfume cost?
Oh, I think it was like thousands, if I remember.
I'm pretty sure it was 1 year's salary.
That's a lot.
That's a lot. When I looked it up, I'm pretty sure it was 1 year's salary. How expensive that bottle of perfume cost, and she poured it out and washed Jesus' feet with her hair and that perfume.
Yeah. So, where are we at now?
Well, it's kind of like he's about to be
Washington.
betrayed,
Yeah, he's about to be betrayed. So I guess we can talk about that a little bit because
Yeah.
I mean, I know we're going a little bit everywhere on this, but like
Yeah.
if you've gone to church today, this will air on Easter. You've heard the main thing, so we didn't want to do the same thing you've heard. We wanted to back it up all the way to the beginning.
Yeah.
And obviously, we're going to talk about the resurrection because that's what all this is about.
That's what all this is about. Exactly. It's
Because if that didn't happen, then
right. Well, it's just kind of like we want to be a little bit more laid back and personal with everyone, because the thing is that we can read chapter by chapter, and there's a lot of stuff to gain, and we definitely encourage you to do that. But we also don't want to just give you just a Easter sermon. It's these are the things that stuck out to me personally during Jesus' ministry as well as Devin's, and but we're about to get into the specifics of it on why we even celebrate Easter. And we just see during the Last Supper, Judas gets recognized as the one that's going to betray Jesus. Mm-hmm. Peter's like, I ain't going to ever leave you. And then Jesus is like, well, you're actually going to, this very night, you're going to deny me 3 times. Mm-hmm. Now, but before all this, we could set this up while he's in the Garden of Gethsemane. So I don't know if you want to talk a little bit about that, because that's pretty intense too.
yeah, he goes to the garden and he's going to pray. He brings his 300 guys and like, hey, y'all sit over here and y'all pray while I go pray. Watch after. They kept falling asleep, but what he's praying is basically it's a prayer of desperation. Like, Father, I don't want to go through this.
Right.
I don't want to. And if there's any way to make it to where I don't have to, let's do that.
Yeah.
But you know what? Not what I want, but what your will is, let it be done. So Jesus was, you see the humanity of Jesus. Like, everybody always looks at him as the divine God, and he is. I'm not taking that away.
Right.
But he came and put on our skin. He had human emotions. He had humanity. He didn't want to.
Right.
And Luke, because Luke was a physician.
That's right.
He records things that are medically different than the other gospels. Just kind of add some medical context to it. And there's a verse where he was sweating drops of blood. Where was that at? Either way, you can read it in there.
Yeah.
Jesus, he was he was so stressed, so worried, scared, however you want to call it, that he sweat drops of blood, and that's an actual medical condition. I think it's called like hydrosis. I don't know.
Yeah, it's a thing.
Yeah, you can actually look it up.
Yeah, it's a thing, and but talking on a theological basis here, so when he was praying, like, okay, so we got to know that like Romans, they were professional killers and torturers. I mean, we're not just being 100% real and not sugarcoating it. I mean, they knew how to kill people.
Yeah, they were good at it.
They were good at it. I mean,
This is what they did.
Yeah, this is what they did. Jesus Christ knew what was happening, right? So, but you talk about the Son of God. Now, the Father, Son, and Spirit are all one, right? Mm-hmm. So, but he was praying to the Father if there was another way.
Yeah.
And the will of God, that's what it needed to happen, like at that moment. And like for Jesus Christ to even, he could have called on angels to save him, and he still followed the will of the Father, which is just, it's supernaturally amazing.
Yeah.
Because there's no way that I could have. If someone tell me that they're about to rip my back open and nail me to a cross and beat me, like, and stuff, like, I'm gonna let you know right now, man, I'm probably not gonna go through with it.
No. I love you, but I don't know if I love you that much.
Yeah, see, so we're talking about the Creator doing that for us.
Yeah.
Like,
and all we did basically through all of humanity is spit in his face.
I know. And it's yeah, exactly. So like, I saw a video this morning, and I think it was like a Christian video or something, but it was just it was like a clip of a movie or something, and it was this guy. I think he was in like a dream or something, but this angel came to him or something, and she says, "Okay," she's like, "You have to choose. One of your kid goes to heaven, and one of your kid goes to hell. You have to choose." And he's like, I can't. He's like, I won't choose. He's like, and she's like, you have to choose. He's like, one of them gets to go to heaven and one of them has to go to hell for eternity. And he's like, then you have no other option. and then the father of the kids, they're like, let me take their place. He's like, you leave them out of this. Let me take the place of them. I'll go, and they can, but it was supposed to like picture what Jesus Christ did for us.
Yeah.
He's like I don't want to send y'all here. I saw a video saying that Jesus Christ does not hate humanity. It's the sin.
Yeah.
But he made a way, which we're about to get into. He made a way to take upon that sin, just like you talked about earlier. And that's what that's why it's so beautiful and so like freeing and forgiving. And like, this stuff will literally set you free from the bondage that you're under. And it's such a beautiful and amazing thing to trust in Jesus Christ that did pay for your sins. If you believe that, you have everlasting life with him. Mm-hmm. So that's why we're here to spread this news.
Yeah.
Yeah, but he's after the garden. He gets betrayed for 30 pieces of silver.
Didn't we look that up? And it was like what, $300?
It was like $300 or something
in today's time.
Yeah, $300.
Yeah.
Yeah. That's wild. Now we obviously can't know everything, but yeah, but for $300, and then he gives it back. He throws them. And they're like, we don't know what that money is. Blood money. The Pharisees were like, we don't know anything about that, and then he goes kill himself. Yeah. But we talk about Judas Iscariot.
Well, we could tell he wasn't really truly ever a Jesus follower, because in there it says that Satan entered him.
That's right.
And we know that God doesn't have dual occupancy within us. It's like you either have God or you have Satan.
That's right.
It's like a Christian can't be possessed.
That's right.
Can demonic influences be around us and cause us headache and a cup full of suck? Yes, but the Lord's not going to share his vessel.
Yeah, that's right. That's right.
It's not.
Yeah, now we can get distracted. We can fall into temptation. We have free will still.
Yeah.
So there's a lot of things that we can get into. It's why I heard this saying about Christians, like, not that we're sinless, but we sin less.
Sin less.
We sin less, because as a follower of Jesus Christ, there's certain attributes that I attain, and I'm working towards being exactly like Jesus Christ the best I can. But
I'm working on sanctification.
yeah, sanctification. That's right.
Yep.
That's the word I was looking for.
Yep.
But anyway, what we see, he gets captured. Peter draws a sword, chops off this dude's ear. And Jesus is like, chill out. He's like, those who live by the sword die by the sword, which is some deep words.
And Gen X, is it Gen X? That's the young generation.
Yeah.
In the Gen X translation, yo, bro, you doing too much.
Yeah. yeah. Jesus was like, chill out. He heals this man still. And then that's when he's like, look, you live by the sword, you're going to die by the sword.
Yeah.
And so, but he heals this man. He goes freely with him, right? Pontius, and then when he's in the court, he's like, are you the Son of God? And he's like, I am who you say I am. Which was crazy. Like, he obviously claimed him. They tried to kill him over blasphemy. Now, one thing we talk about Pontius Pilate that I'll talk about is that he was already getting in trouble.
Being too cruel.
They were being too cruel. So that's how you got to know. Like, they were professionals at this, and it was so bad that he got a letter and said that basically, and you can go look this up in the Roman history, he was so cruel that they were going to derank him or something because he was killing too many people.
Yeah.
Like, this was a violent man.
Yeah.
Right? So we obviously see that he found no fault in Jesus. He even gave him one of their customs is to release a prisoner.
He was trying to set it up where Jesus would get released.
He was.
I don't think that, obviously, I don't think that makes him a believer. I think he was just looking at it for self.
No, I really think he was being for self, because if he killed another innocent man, I think he was going to get deranked or something.
Yeah.
Or kicked out of his palace. But anyway, they freed Barabbas, which was an actual murderer, killer, violent man.
Yeah.
Like someone who's very unstable, right? He was a criminal and all this, but anyway, he washes his hands. He's like, this man's blood is not on my hands, which saved him for his job, and it gave him to the hands of the people. Mm-hmm. They're like, okay, you want to kill him? I'll kill him. I don't have any part in this. And then we see the moment where that's when they rip his clothes off. I mean, they're casting lots for his clothes. It's a group. I don't know if you've ever seen this, but the Golgotha, dude, that's a hill.
Yeah.
And to carry a cross up that thing, I mean, there's a reason why. And after you've been beaten, within an inch of your life, what is it, 49 lashes or something?
Is it? I'll say it's
39.
I'm acting like
I know we've been talking about it. It's a lot.
Acting like I don't know the Bible today.
I know.
I just talked about that. I think it's 30 lashes. You couldn't give people more than. Are you looking it up?
Yeah, I am. It's 39.
Okay.
Yeah, based on the Jewish tradition, where maximum 40 was allowed, but 39 were given to avoid exceeding the limit.
Okay.
So he was, yeah. So 39. And this is after, to put it in perspective, 39 lashes with a cat of nine tails. Glass, bone, leather being whooped by a Roman soldier, right? These ain't no little bitty pipsqueak boys, Yeah. It took a flesh and bone. And I saw a picture the other day that kind of made me really think about it. But he was beaten unrecognizable.
Yeah.
Okay. So that's just the 39 whips. That's not including the spitting in the face, slapping him, crown of thorns,
down, punching him.
Yeah. So we're talking about a man that's he's beat up, unrecognizable. He's got probably ribs showing. That's what I'm saying. And then they made this man carry his cross up there, an innocent man, right? And this is talking about Jesus Christ, the one who was loving people, healing people, telling, I am the way to salvation and eternal life. I'm the light of the world. He did all of these miracles for these people. feeding the 5,000. That's another one that would trip me out.
Yeah.
Fed five. I mean, he was nothing about but just love, and he came to heal the sick, especially the eternal sickness of sin. And they sent this man up there, and then he had to get one of his disciples to help him carry up the cross.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? And then when I kind of researched this before we started like doing the podcast episode, like, dude, when these guys were precise of like for agony, like, and I just hate to get so graphic, but I mean, you'll have to understand what Jesus Christ went through. They knew between the radius and the ulna, like where to put these nails to not hit anything, because extreme amounts of pain. Mm-hmm. So they drove these spikes, bro, like in between that radius and ulna, to where you would have no choice but to hang on your bones. And then through his feet, and you talk about rough cut lumber on, like, just all on those open wounds, dude. Like, I mean, this was the most agonizing, like, suffering crucifixion. Like, you know what I'm talking about?
And they were constantly humiliated him too. I mean,
yeah.
I mean, they had the little butt sponge. They gave him
I forgot.
sour vinegar.
Yeah, the sour vinegar sponge. Yeah, they would use these sour sponges that they would like. Oh, you must be thirsty. They wiped their butts with this.
Yes, this is what the Roman people would wipe their butts with.
Yeah, and then they dipped it and put it to his mouth. It was sour, or was vinegar, or whatever it was.
I think it was.
It was a mixture of something, but it doesn't take away the fact of what they did. You know, they even mocked him and you know, King of the Jews.
Yeah.
You know, and you know, it was horrific. You know, just that setup right there. Then you got the thieves on the cross. You know, on his right and left. One was mocking him. Cast yourself down and save us with you, if you really are the Son of God. Other one was like, well, you know, we deserve this. Just remember me, Jesus.
Speaking about the thief on the cross, this is something different.
Yeah.
But it came up a little while back. Pastor Rick Warren, he posted something on Facebook, or on, I think it was Twitter, and he recently, or he took it down shortly after because he got a lot of crap for it.
Yeah.
But it was It was a picture of Jesus on the cross, and he had the two thieves in there, and he took a political approach to it. He said, where does Jesus, and he took it down, so I don't remember exactly how it was worded, but it was like, where does Jesus hang on these issues of today? He doesn't hang on the right or the left. He's in the middle, and he meant the way he did it is like taking a passive approach to like transgender, because that was the thing that was trending.
Oh yeah.
And I was like, dude, are you kidding me?
Yeah, bro.
But a lot of people called him out, and he took it down. But I mean, you've already pushed the tube out of the toothpaste.
Yep, she's out. Can't put her back in without.
You can't put it back in.
No.
But you made me think of that. But
Yeah. But like I said, you know, and Jesus was like, look, today you're gonna be with me in paradise.
Yeah.
But look. So after all of this man was beaten, unrecognizable. He's hanging from a cross. Obviously, just an agonizing pain that is just horrific. You know, he's talking to, you know, he's like, look, take care of mama and all this. Still, he just says, Father, forgive them, for they know not what they do. Okay? You want to talk about forgiveness? I'm just saying, like, if someone were to, like, beat me up like that, I'm personally not gonna have a forgiving heart towards them. You know, I need to get even with them or better.
Yeah.
You know, but the power of God rests upon Jesus Christ. Could do anything he wanted to, and he still said, "Forgive them. They don't know what they're doing."
Yeah.
And you know, and then he you know, he said, you know, basically he gave up his spirit. You know, he's like, all right, Daddy, like, my soul's yours to deal with.
So that it is finished statement.
Yeah.
It was and I'm probably gonna butcher the original way to say this.
That's why I didn't even try.
Was tetelestai.
Okay.
So, and what it was actually, I looked it up. It's actually like a bank term. Like when they would pay off a loan or whatever, they'd get a stamp on this piece of paper that said tetelestai, which meant this this debt is paid for
Yeah.
in full.
Wow.
And that was what Jesus said. You know, this debt of
Yeah.
the sin debt is paid for in full
Yeah.
by his death.
Wow.
And
That's cool.
Yeah.
I didn't know that part. I thought you were gonna say the in Aramaic or whatever he was. I thought you were gonna say in Aramaic, whatever it is when he says, Father, Father, why have you forsaken me? Or
oh yeah, that's I don't know.
I don't know that, but but you're absolutely right. It got paid in full just by that, and the veil was torn.
Mm-hmm.
On all those songs, you tore the veil. So this veil was to separate like the Holy of Holies, right? So like only certain people could go in the temple. And this was not just a Walmart rug you get at Dollar General. This was a very extravagant, super thick, heavy. You ain't cutting this thing in half.
Yeah.
And it said that as soon as he gave up his spirit, the veil was torn top to bottom in half.
Yeah.
Which is also a fulfillment of the scriptures, but like that's crazy. And then we know that the sky darkened, for a while, and they're like, okay, well he must be dead. One of the guards speared him, and then water and blood poured out. I don't know if you knew any symbolism with that.
That I don't.
I'm pretty sure that's another medical thing when you die.
Yeah, I'm sure it is.
Yeah.
But I'm not smart enough to know that one.
Yeah, I looked it up briefly, but I think it's a medical thing. Like when you're dead, like your body like separates it or something. But anyway, it just it's just a crazy story. But he gets buried, right? They take him to his burial. It was Joseph's tomb, not his daddy's, right? It was like his I forget whose tomb it was. Joseph. Arimathea. Yeah. He was a wealthy man. But he gave this. This has been an unused tomb, so this was like he gave this to Jesus. And it was for 3 days. 3 days, bro. And then he
rose. And I understand like the hesitancy people have to believe that. Like it's a really, it's a hard to believe story. I mean, it truly is.
Oh yeah.
I mean, if you were looking at it through, I guess, I want to say logical, but that doesn't even do it well either. But if you're looking at it through a earthly mindset or a earthly perspective, it's like, man, people don't rise when they die.
No.
They're dead. They stay dead.
That's right.
But what's crazy is the amount of evidence we have for all this being true. And not just through the Bible, but through all of history. Like, let's just take Alexander the Great, for example.
Yeah.
You don't know Alexander the Great really existed other than we have some written things about him.
That's right.
Nobody alive today ever saw Alexander the Great.
Nope.
And we have a few documents that talk about what he did, this and that. We have more documents about the accounts of Jesus Christ than any other historical figure ever.
Yep.
Ever.
That's right.
And it's not even close. I think like
it's a lot of manuscripts.
yeah,
And not just like locally around in Israel. It's throughout the entire world. Like, it's especially in that area, it's really thick there, but obviously they spread the gospel around, but we have a lot of manuscripts.
And I've seen a lot of people say that they don't even believe that Jesus was an actual person. And I think if that's the case, then you've been watching too much Facebook Reels or YouTube Reels or TikToks, whatever. Because to say that Jesus was not even a person is just intellectually dishonest. You don't want to know the truth.
Right, yeah.
And like I've used this line, and I don't remember where I got it from. I got it from somebody else. But when you're talking to somebody and you're trying to convince them of Jesus, one of the first questions you ask them is like, hey, okay, they don't believe in Jesus. I don't believe in Jesus, yada, yada, yada. And you ask them, say, well, if you could be proven without a doubt that you were wrong, would you be willing to hear? If they say no, no point in even.
Yeah.
They're
that's
intellectually dishonest.
That's right. If they wouldn't even be open enough to change their mind, then they're not going to listen to you anyway.
Yeah.
So, that's a good question. But so to kind of push right here, the next thing that happens is right. So these are guarded by Roman soldiers. Okay, so all of this yeah about they stole his body and all this other stuff. You're not overpowering a bunch of Roman guards and Roman soldiers. Okay, they will kill you on sight, and if you go to touch that thing, and so, but a great earthquake happens, right? I'm guessing it kills them all or something, or scares them off or whatever. But anyway, stone got rolled away, massive stone, very heavy, right?
Yeah.
Rolls away, can't find him. You know what I'm saying? Because he obviously rose.
Yeah.
Okay, and like, but anyway, you have that pulled up?
No. I'm just looking for something that I want to do later. But the stone was rolled away. His burial cloths were folded. Like, your mama raised you right if you're gonna fold clothes.
That's what I'm saying. He took his time.
I'm ready to run out. I ain't worried about no clothes being folded. But anyway, so the first people to come to the tomb were the women.
The women.
Mary and a bunch of them. Like each account of the gospel accounts for different groups of women. And,
Sure, but it was the women.
Yeah, the women, and like that. We actually got a lot of hate on a clip that we made on this one last year.
Sure.
Because I said that just points more toward the accuracy of the scripture because
Right.
And it was people who didn't watch the whole video, but they just took a clip and complained. But anyway, so the fact that the women are listed as the first witnesses is just amazing because of the sense that a woman's testimony was not deemed reliable in that time.
Yeah,
but
in that time, by the way.
Yes.
Okay.
But the fact that it was mentioned and recorded,
yes,
and they didn't shy away from that fact, just shows how much confidence they had in that truth.
Yeah, that's right.
So, like, you people who sent me a lot of hate last year, kick rocks.
Right. Yeah.
No,
he was without sin, cast the first stone.
Yeah.
But no, you're right. So they see him. They're like, yo, they've taken him away. And then he shows up as like a gardener or something, or she thought he was a gardener.
She thought he was a gardener or something.
Yeah, I know. She's like, why are you crying? And then so like they've taken my Lord away, and but anyway, we obviously see that Jesus showed up to over 500 witnesses.
Mm-hmm.
Jace Robertson puts it this way: he's like, I know there's gonna be fish in heaven, because when Jesus rose from the dead, he was on the coast eating fish.
Yeah.
And I was like, yeah. I'm sure we will. And, then he talks about how Jesus said, he's like, I'm not going to drink this wine until I do it when we're in the kingdom.
Mm-hmm.
So it's like, it's going to be really cool at the end of it. But we see that he appears to the disciples, and then the story just continues. Like, right, it's not, when Jesus was talking about when he was talking to the disciples about you will do greater things than I, not as like the godly magnitude, but the quantity, right? Because Jesus was 33 some odd years. They obviously lived longer than Jesus on the earth, so they spread out, and
then when the outpouring of the Holy Spirit.
That's what I'm saying, man. Acts 2, Pentecost.
God's power wasn't limited. His power is never limited, but
right?
It wasn't in the sense that it was limited to Jesus, where he could only be in one place at one time,
right?
At one location, preach at one sermon, do it one miracle.
That's what I'm saying.
Like when the Holy Spirit was poured out to all believers, like his power is everywhere.
Yeah.
Now. And don't get it twisted. You don't do a daggum thing.
Right.
It's God's power working through you.
That's right.
So if you think you can take credit for it, then you're wrong.
Yep, that's right. It's all God all the time. But yeah, we see the outpouring of the Holy Spirit next. They're all in the upper room. Like, what the heck just happened? Like, and is this like it would have been so crazy to be in that time. But that's it. They go spread out. They spread the gospel of Jesus Christ, and then, but how this holds so true. And I know we're kind of running short on time, but it's just that all of this, his disciples and everybody who witnessed this eye testimony stuff, the reason why the evidence is so good and so compelling is because, psychologically, nobody dies believing that or knowing it's a lie. Following Jesus Christ it's not going to be like super gravy. Like we're not saying that your life is going to be, it's like all these prosperity people out here. I follow Jesus Christ because he set me free from sin. I don't follow Jesus Christ because I'm going to get a Corvette next week. That'd be cool. That'd be cool.
And there's a certain pastor in Texas that says that Jesus became poor so he could become rich financially.
Yeah, it's rich in spirit and in life. I mean, because that's what he is. That's what he has to offer you. And so, I'm just saying, like, it will change you exponentially. I mean, it did his disciples. They died for it, believing in it, But I'm telling you, if I saw somebody raised from the dead, not only being raised from the dead, I'm following that guy. But not only did he, like, he raised Lazarus and there was some others, but not only did he raise somebody else, he raised himself from the dead. And like, I'm just saying, I'm gonna follow him, and I'm gonna spread his story and tell people about that, because they want to talk about, like, a little off topic, but like these people that believe, like, they worship like all these superheroes and stuff, and they try to fantasize, like, I wish I could be like Superman, and you talk about how indestructible he is and all this other stuff. He can never get sick. Or I'm like, well, there was a guy who really lived and died and rose from the dead, and he's indestructible. So that's kind of like my superhero, So that's a little off topic, but
Ding, ding.
yeah. Oh, where's it at?
I have no idea.
That's one of those.
Good enough.
That's one of those. Anyway, man. But what else you got?
If you want to, like, we couldn't fit all of Jesus' life in this hour, however long this episode is.
Yeah.
But there's a lot of great resources out there. Just do your research, read your Bible, listen to people who are biblically sound. I'll tell a good resource that I like that I've come across recently, and I came across it as a result of him being on the Joe Rogan show, is Wesley Huff.
Yeah. Oh yeah, he's good.
He's a Christian apologetic. So he's from Canada. Follow his page. He's got a YouTube page. It's Apologetic Canada, I think it's called. If you type in Wesley Huff, you'll find it. But it's really good. But the whole reason for this is just to know, like, this is what we place our faith in. This is the story of Jesus Christ. He came and redeemed us from our sins. He's available to anybody who will call upon his name. And you look at it, like, I do want to read one little part, okay?
Yep, absolutely.
So this is just an encouragement to thinking for people who think that, like, hey, I'm too bad gone, I've done too much, whatever the case may be, I can't come to Christ. This first part I want to read is out of Luke 22, starting at verse 54. Having arrested him, they led him and brought him into the high priest's house, but Peter followed at a distance. Now when he had kindled the fire in the midst of the country courtyard, he sat down together. Peter sat among them, and a certain servant girl, seeing him as he sat by the fire, looked intently at him and said, "This man was also with him." But he denied him, saying, "Woman, I do not know him." After a little while, another one saw him and said, "You are one of them." Peter said, "No, I am not." Then about an hour passed, another confidently affirmed, saying, "Surely this fellow was also with them, for he is a Galilean." But Peter said, "I do not know the man. What are you saying?" And, you see his three denials there. This is one of the people in Jesus' inner circle. And, when crap hits the fan, he denies even knowing him. And we're going to flip over to John chapter 21. Let's see. Starting at verse 15. So when they had eaten breakfast, Jesus said to Peter, "Simon, son of Jonah, do you love me more than these?" And he said to them, "Yes, Lord, you know that I love you." And he said, "Feed my lambs." Then he said to him a second time, "Simon, son of Jonah, do you love me?" And he said to him, "Yes, Lord, you know I love you." And he said to him, "Tend my sheep." Then a third time he said to him, "Simon, son of Jonah, do you love me?" Peter was grieved because he had said to him a third time, "Do you love me?" And when he had said, "Lord, you know all things, you know that I love you," Jesus said to him, "Feed my sheep. Most assuredly I say to you, when you were younger, you girded yourself and walked where you wished. But when you were old, you will stretch out your hand, and another will gird you and carry you where you do not wish." Just to see that, like, talk about the 3 points of him denying even knowing Christ to where Jesus is restoring him. Like, hey, do you love me? Yes, I love you. Feed my sheep, tend to my people, lead my flock. But you see these 3 moments of denying and these 3-minute moments of restoration. Yeah. And I think, Jesus doesn't do anything without intent. And you see that, like, it's almost like, hey, here you are thinking you were the biggest failure
Right.
because you couldn't even, have my back at the worst moment. But here I am letting you know I still love you. You're still part of this fold. You're still part of this family.
Yep. That's a beautiful thing. And that's a great encouragement. Scripture for sure. Anyway, we hope you guys have a happy Easter. And just remember the reason for all of these things. And anything else, Devin? Y'all make sure to follow us on all the social medias. Facebook, what TikTok,
Spotify,
YouTube. Yeah, all those. Subscribe, drop a like for us, and share it. It helps us out greatly. And we hope you enjoyed this Easter episode. See you next time.
Y'all have a blessed day.
Yeah, peace out.